Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Andy the Mad Tatter, and welcome back to a long overdue July 2019 sales roundup video. Apologies for having been out of the loop for the best part of a month. I've been organising stuff in terms of the reselling side of things, getting everything squared away, getting everything filed nicely. I was getting a little bit slack with kind of putting stuff away after it had all been prepped and tested and cleaned and listed, photographed, etc. I got a little bit slack with just kind of finding places to put stuff. So massive thanks to Jo, my wife. We kind of got a whole new system in place for how we're going to deal with things going forward. So we've got kind of a goods in area, if you like, for when new stuff comes in, and then a sort of area for stuff when it's ready for testing and cleaning, and then ready for photographing, and then when it's listed, it all goes in its respective place. So we've got a good system going now for things like that. Also, we had really shocking weather at both ends of the spectrum, which just kind of, we had a really hot week, which kind of floored me because I don't do very well with heat. I'm a very sort of your stereotypical Northern European look about me. So yeah, I don't do well with heat for that reason. I don't mind the cold at all and can live with the rain, but the heat just takes it out of me, and we had the hottest week ever, essentially. Also, we've had the coldest week, well, not the coldest week ever, but certainly one of the wettest weeks ever. That caused quite a bit of flooding and stuff locally as well. I'm not a million miles away, although it wouldn't affect me in the slightest, but if you've heard in the news about the Whaley Bridge Dam that kind of started to give way there, I'm not a million miles away from them. So we've had a lot of the similar sort of weather conditions and similar sort of rainfall. There's actually sort of videos on YouTube and stuff of people in one of the local village centres near me canoeing round a roundabout. So yeah, it got kind of wet too, but again, nothing to worry about from my perspective. It just kind of made certain things a bit more difficult, logistical things and stuff like that, getting around and getting stuff to the post and whatnot. So just kind of everything's been a little bit harder work than it should have been, and for the most part that's just been my own fault through not being organised enough at kind of a grassroots level. So I've not had the basic things organised as well as I should have done, so then the other things that have kind of come on top of that have been made more difficult as a result. And as I say, entirely my own doing, really. But good that I was able to identify that and get it all sorted. You know, being honest with yourself about your own shortcomings and your own sort of things where you are sort of falling short of the mark on certain areas. You've got to be honest with yourself about stuff like that. Because if you just sort of live in that constant state of, yeah, everything's fine, when something does come crashing down, then everything comes crashing down. So you kind of got to keep that sort of, yeah, honesty with yourself and that sort of sense of, if you are doing something wrong, identify it quickly and work on it. Yeah, so that's kind of broadly speaking where I've been. Also, just after the kind of general aggro and stress of everything this month, I've just not really felt like sitting down and doing YouTube videos and stuff like that as well, because they are relatively time consuming, although I do genuinely love doing them, and I genuinely love sort of talking to or at you guys. They are quite time consuming for me to produce, and they do tie up my PC for quite a lot of time as well. My PC is relatively old. I bought it in I think about 2013. It was top of the line when I bought it, so it's still reasonable, but it is getting a bit tired now. So doing things like processing videos and uploading those onto YouTube takes up a lot of time on my PC as well. And when I'm trying to sort of organise things with eBay and I need the computer for that, yeah, so you can kind of see where the priority has to lie. But anyway, hoping to get very much back on track with YouTube now as well. Because I've got the other side of things sorted, I can focus a little bit more on this side of things and get things back up to date and rolling, as I said I would with this. So I'm going to do part 1 of this video. I'm also, immediately after this, I'm going to shoot part 2. And then I'm going to work on getting part 1 of August's sales roundup ready in the next sort of day or so. So then we'll be back up to date with kind of the business as usual type videos, and then we can get started properly with the reselling from scratch videos, which I've had a lot of really good ideas for while I've been sort of going through all this sorting process and organising and kind of getting really hands-on with my own stock again and getting everything checked and squared away. I've had a lot of good ideas and a lot of good input from sort of my wife and some other family members as well on things that we can sort of talk about in this series. So I'm really enthusiastic about doing this now, and I'm not going to sort of drag my feet with it anymore. I'll get going on the reselling from scratch videos very soon, you have my word. But for the time being, let's get into the first items for July 2019 sales roundup. It wasn't a terrible month, July. It wasn't an amazing one either, though, so let's get into it. 1st of July, School Memories hardcover scrapbook. This was a retail arbitrage item. And as always, for those that don't know, retail arbitrage is buying items from retail stores and selling them for a profit. So you're going out and buying a brand new item from, say, a supermarket on a reduced, final clearance offer price, and then you're selling it on and making a profit, because you can sell it above that price on eBay quite happily. So this was, I bought sort of 2 or 3 of these. I forget exactly where now because it was such a long time ago that I got them. I think there's another one in another sales roundup where I probably could remember where I got them. So if you're that interested, that video has that information in it. But this was just kind of a scrapbook with lots of little different compartments and charts and sort of progress things for school and stuff like that in there. So it cost $1.99, sold for $18.94, which is the selling price, including the shipping. And after shipping and fees, made £9.61 on that one, and also received positive feedback from the buyer. 2nd of July, we've got the Adidas Team GB cycling jersey. This was brand new and in the factory bag, sealed up and everything. I bought a number of cycling and sort of sports / Paralympic memorabilia type jerseys from a local charity shop last year, and in the area where this particular charity shop was, in the process of sort of looking these things up and researching them and stuff, I found out that in the area that this particular charity shop was, there were a number of there were a couple of Olympic cyclists live around there, and also a couple of Paralympians that lived in that area as well. So it wasn't inconceivable to me that these items were donated by somebody connected to that world, because obviously they're going to be in the area. They were sort of Team GB cycling jerseys, as the title says, and I've also got like I say, the Paralympics athletics jersey or gymnastics jersey type of arrangement as well listed. So this one cost £2.50, which was amazing for a brand new item, especially, like I say, factory sealed, tagged and everything. Sold for $34.99, did free post on that one, and made $24.80 after shipping and fees. So I like Adidas clothing. I also like sportswear to sell. I don't really wear a lot of sportswear or anything like that. I'm by no means a sports person. But yeah, it's great to sell. It's always popular. Cycling stuff, particularly for the summer. We're becoming a nation of cyclists more and more. So it's definitely worth keeping your eye out for cycling type gear. 2nd of July again, this is a Sony PlayStation 2 Max Payne 1 and 2 Black Label games. The Black Label titles, as I've said in other videos, they have the black band across the top of the box, and that means that they are the original release as opposed to sort of a re-release or a Game of the Year edition or anything like that. The original releases, from my experience, certainly seem to command the most money. I guess there are probably exceptions to that, but I'm by no means an expert in video games. I just generally pick up titles that I know and that I sort of remember from when I was in my sort of early to mid-teens to early 20s, games that I remember from that sort of era. I'll always pick up and just check the prices of, certainly, and I'll always just buy them anyway if they're cheap enough. Like these, for instance, these were a Harry Potter, so they were £1 each. Yeah, I'll always pick them up at that sort of money or less, not a problem at all. I picked up a couple of PC games a few days ago for like 20p each, just thinking I can't lose on those at 20p, so I'm not even going to bother, checking them out beforehand. I'll just take them. And I quite often look at sort of older PS games and older different console titles with that same sort of mentality as well. If I think like, yeah, I can see a bit of money in those, even if it just kind of makes its own money back and hasn't cost me anything. Sometimes it's worth it for the learning experience. So yeah, as I say, these were £1 each, so £2 total cost. Sold for $16.49. After shipping and fees, made £9.14 and received positive feedback from the buyer. Sticking with the 2nd of July, this was quite a busy day. This was in one of my haul videos from quite a while ago. I've not made a haul video for a while, actually. What I might do is sit down and get out some items that I've bought recently that are a bit more interesting, cool, or retro or whatever, and show you those, because for one, they'll be in a condition where they're tested and cleaned or whatever, and I can show you them in all of their sort of glory. And two, I can tell you what I've actually learnt about these items through the process of researching them and stuff as well, because I do sometimes pick up items, and I encourage anybody to pick up items that you just don't know a lot about, but you kind of get that good feeling for. So there's a couple of items I can show you that are like that, and it'll be a bit of a... I think one of my viewers, one of the subscribers or viewers a while ago actually suggested about doing sort of haul videos more with the highlights of items, so the kind of more interesting and more unusual stuff. So I think this will be a good way to be able to do that as well, because I can kind of cherry pick interesting things to show you. Anyway, yeah, so this was in a haul video a while ago. This is the men's Diesel T-Joy t-shirt. It was brand new and tagged, cost $4.99, which is a bit of high end for a t-shirt, but like I say, brand new and tagged and diesel, so yeah, it was going to take that all day. Sold for $29.99 after shipping and fees, made £17.27. This went on the global shipping program to the Czech Republic, and we received positive feedback, so thank you very much, sir. 2nd of July still. This was an item that I just kind of wanted to clear. We did a couple of sales over the course of July. It was, like I say, it wasn't an amazing month, so we were just trying to push a few things out. So we did a couple of sales, sent a few offers, and took a few offers as well, as you're going to see as the video progresses. But this was an item that I put on sale. It was a very early purchase. It was a Spanish-made tan leather jacket. Men's, very soft leather, really fine, nicely made, not any particular brand, it just sort of said made in Spain on a label inside it, and it had sort of a fancy filigree style label with no visible or discernible logo or writing on it, so I just had to put it as a Spanish made leather jacket. I couldn't put a brand or anything on there. As I say, bought it very early on, paid £15 for it, which at the time I thought was a particularly good price, but actually with hindsight, I probably wouldn't want to pay that for an unbranded leather jacket, however nice it was. Certainly a branded one I'd quite happily go to that sort of money for. But yeah, sold for $39.99 on sale. Did have it up at $54.99 for a good while, and had some interest in it. You know, a couple of people watching it here and there, a couple of people messaging asking for, you know, specific measurements and stuff. So there was a bit of interest on it, but nobody ever put in an offer to me or anything like that. So I sort of decided, right, let's just clear it. Let's, you know, get some money back on it, and we'll shave the we'll shave the price right down. So sold it for $39.99, was up at $54.99, and made $14.23 after shipping and fees. That went on global shipping to the USA, and we have had positive feedback from the buyer on that one. Next, the SEMA or SIMA X5C quadcopter remote control drone. We're on to the 3rd of July now. This was from a bundle of stuff that I bought. I bought a big job lot of stuff from somebody who was having a house clearance, and it cost £65 for all this stuff. I've spoken about this bundle a few times. So I split the cost of the bundle across every individual item that was in there, which gave them a cost of 85p each. So this quadcopter remote control drone, quite an interesting thing actually. I'd never flown a drone before, and although this was a very cheap and cheerful kid's toy of a thing really, rather than, you know, your professional whatever they are drones, it was still kind of good fun. It was quite an interesting thing to sort of just buzz around the house with, and crash into things a couple of times as well, but it was just kind of really soft plastic, so it just could take an impact, not a problem at all. Yeah, so cost 85p, sold for $21.94, made $13.78 after shipping and fees, and had positive feedback from the buyer on that one as well. 3rd of July still, men's Hugo Boss Bastiano check shirt. Yeah, I've said before, I buy shirts that I would wear myself in case they ever don't sell, and I'll just keep hold of them, and I've got a cheap shirt, a cheap, nice shirt for myself. So this was very much an example of that. Hugo Boss short sleeve check shirt, nice for the summer. Sold on a cent offer. I know it says best offer there, but I didn't have a graphic for offer cent, so it was a best offer item. This is the Hugo Boss green label as opposed to the orange label as well. So this one was $6.99, about average sort of shirt money for a decent quality shirt, I think. Sold at $29.94. So essentially the buyer just kind of got free postage out of it. That was the way we pitched the offer. We sent them a couple of quid off it because we had it up at $29.99 with $2.95 postage anyway. So it sold for $29.94 and made $15.62 after shipping and fees. Lovely. 4th of July, HP laptop AC charger. This is an interesting one actually, as I've subsequently had positive feedback on this, but I'll tell you the story in just a second. HP genuine laptop charger, cost 75p. I bought it in a big bundle of cables and chargers from somebody on a sort of second-hand selling app called Spock. Went and picked them up locally. It was just kind of a big cardboard box full of random stuff. A load of stuff that I've just kind of kept hold of, like mini USB cables that are all packaged up and factory sealed and stuff like that, pairs of headphones, earbuds, those types of things. I've just kept hold of all of those kind of things just for if I ever get anything in that needs a cable or needs a pair of headphones. So it's been quite handy from that perspective as well. I've probably got about 40 or 50 just small micro USB cables and various cables like that, so they'll always come in handy for different things that come in. But I also got a box full of perfectly saleable chargers, AC adapters, the kind of stuff that if you've seen my videos before, you know that I like, because it's not the stuff that everybody generally always goes for. So this box full all worked out where the items would cost 75p each. As I say, I just take each individual item, divide the cost by the number of items, and then that gives you the individual unit price. So these cost 75p each. Out of this box, this one sold for $18.94 and made $11.53 after shipping and fees. Now, as I say, I have subsequently had positive feedback on this one, but the buyer did give me neutral feedback at first. So the buyer's feedback, the neutral feedback, said item didn't work, but seller refunded. So I knew that the guy hadn't even been in touch since we sent it out. So I sent him a message and I said to him, we noticed that you say that you've left us neutral feedback in respect of the item not working. Having checked my records, I've got no record of you sending this item back or me having given you a refund for it. Are you sure you've not perhaps bought one previously, prior to buying from us, and then that was the one that you meant to leave the neutral feedback for? He messaged me back within minutes and was very, very apologetic and said, "Oh my word, yeah, absolutely, that is exactly what's happened." So I then sent him a feedback revision through eBay. You can do that with buyers if they leave you erroneous feedback or feedback. If they send you negative feedback, but they've meant to leave you positive feedback, for instance. They've done it genuinely accidentally or anything like that, and say they message you and say, "Oh no, I've left the wrong feedback, my mistake, I'm so sorry." You can send them a feedback revision request and they can actually change the feedback, not a problem at all. So yeah, that's what happened in the case of this one. I had a neutral feedback on my account for about 15 minutes, and then the chap managed to get it changed to positive for me, so we're still on that 100% positive feedback rating. So that's something that's definitely worth knowing about. I didn't actually know about this possibility at all until this incident happened, and I went looking around on eBay help for any sort of, what I was hoping to be able to do was for eBay to sort of remove the feedback, because that's happened before when somebody left me a negative on a global shipping program item, where they left negative feedback in relation to the actual shipping of the item, which isn't handled by the seller when it's done through global shipping. So eBay's guarantee, they stood that they removed that for me. So I kind of got in touch. I was thinking I could get in touch with them and maybe there'd be something they could do about this, because obviously my records would show that I'd not refunded this buyer, so that the feedback was definitely an error. But I didn't have to do that, and when I went looking through the eBay help pages, that was when I found out about the feedback revision request. Doodah. So well worth knowing about. Anyway, on to another item. Sticking with the 4th of July, ceramic gingerbread man cookie jar. I've said in a couple of previous videos, and it's still the case, my wife Jo's selling a lot of her own collectibles and different bits and pieces that she's picked up herself over the years, because she's starting a new project working with polymer resins, not polymer resins, epoxy resins and things like that, making different pieces and stuff. She's very crafty, very artistic, and she's done a lot of polymer clay before. That's where I got the polymer thing from. And she's looking at sort of touching onto the resin now, so she's doing really well with it so far. But she's selling a lot of these bits and pieces that she's had over the years that are just, in her words, gathering dust, or just an extra thing to clean, and she's selling those on to pay for different bits and pieces for the resin projects. So this was an item that we owned. It was like a Shrek style gingerbread man cookie jar. They were around a couple of Christmases ago. They were sort of everywhere. They were really popular. But I've not seen them so much in the last year or so. This was free item, sold for $25.99 in total, and after shipping and fees made $17.20. 5th of July 2019. This is the Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War PC game. As I've said about the games previously, and even in this same video, I'll pick up games if I think, yep, that'll do something at the price that I'm paying for it. So this was another one that was £1, Warhammer. The tabletop war game, really has a massive following. Some of the figures and some of the miniatures and things like that can go for insane money. Collections of different armies and stuff like that as well, they can all go for insane money. And it was pretty much on that basis that I bought the PC game to resell. I thought the tabletop game's got a massive following. Real-time strategy type games, I've got a really big following as well. So in the middle, somewhere there, you've got that, you know, somebody will have bought that. And sure enough, they did. So I paid £1 for it, sold for £13.49 and made £8.01 after shipping and fees on that one. 5th of July 2019, Slendertone Flex Abtoning Belt. This is one of the electronic sort of shock your abs thingies. It was complete, it was unused from what I could tell as well, or it certainly had unused pads and accessories in the box that were all still factory sealed. So it was a good sort of ready to go resale item. When I saw it in a local charity shop, I thought, yep, I'll definitely go with that as well. Again, not an item that I looked up particularly, but I thought for a £5, even if it makes 20-25 quid, it'll be all right. But as it happens, it sold for £37.94 and made £22.96 after shipping and fees on that one, and have subsequently, to making this video, had positive feedback as well on that one, I happen to know. 5th of July, Babyliss sheer Glamour mini straighteners with the little satin effect bag. This was out of the £65 bundle, so it cost me 85p. Sold for £16.94, made £9.48 after shipping and fees on that one. Not something I would necessarily go out and buy on its own, or you know, particularly say look out for, but because it was part of a large bundle and had such a low cost price, I didn't really have a lot to lose by putting it on eBay and giving it a go. Had positive feedback from the buyer on that one as well. 5th of July 2019, this is the Krups Nespresso pod holder, so the Nespresso coffee machines where they have the little shots of coffee and flavours and stuff in the little pods. This is basically just a stand for those. Krups is a nice sort of high-end brand that make a lot of the coffee machines, barista-style coffee machines and accessories for them. I'm going to say this could be quite a sort of risky thing to say, I don't know in this day and age, but presumably German by the name, if not certainly a European brand, by the styling of the item as well as much as anything, and certainly by the quality of it. I probably should know where they're from really, but it wasn't kind of essential to selling the item, so I didn't really look it up. But yeah, quality stuff. Definitely worth looking out for anything made by them, particularly, you know, parts for coffee machines and stuff like that as well. They'll always be in demand. Things like the pod, the thing that they put the coffee in and then stick it in the bottom of the machine. That thing, the pod with the handle on it. You know what I mean. Yeah, so this cost £2 anyway. Sold for £18.94 and made £9.66 after shipping and fees on that one. Boxed, like new really. It didn't look like it had much use at all. There was no signs of any scratches, damage or anything like that on it. So yeah, it was quite a quick seller. This came out of a bundle where it essentially worked out to being free in the end, because most of these items out of this bundle have sold. It's a George Michael Live in London Blu-ray. Sold for £8.94. It was a used one, it wasn't sealed or anything like that, and made £5.55 after shipping and fees. That's another item actually that I've subsequently had positive feedback on as well. 6th of July, men's Levi 501s, bootcut jeans. Been doing quite well with these over the past few months. Sent quite a few pairs to Republic of Ireland as well, and Northern Ireland actually, just lately. But yeah, so there's quite a few pairs going over there, certainly from my experience. But yeah, been doing okay with Levi's just lately. Normally do very well with diesel jeans and the like, but for some reason the Levi's at the moment are having a bit of a pushback. So this particular pair cost £3.50, sold for £38.94, and made £24.80 after shipping and fees on that one, and received positive feedback on those as well. I've gone the wrong way. Why have I gone the wrong way? Because I clicked the wrong thing. Oh, I'm going entirely the wrong way now. Well, what are we doing? There we go, come on. Come on, technology. There we go. Right, 7th of July, Schneider Ballpoint pen refills. I think this is the last one of these, actually. I've sold these pretty consistently every month that I've had them in stock. Bought them as retail arbitrage items, paid 50p each for them on a final clearance. Picked up a few packs of them, and as I say, I've sold them. I think they've been in every single one of my sales roundup videos, both part 1 and 2 of every video. So they've done incredibly well. They've sold consistently and quickly, and I wish I had more of them, to be honest with you, because they just tick over really nicely, but I don't now. I've sold them all. Cost 50p, sold for $5.94 in total, and made $22.25 after shipping and fees. Also received positive feedback from the buyer on those. I've received a lot of positive feedback from buyers on those pen refills as well, so it's kind of a strange product to me that, from my own perspective, if I was thinking like a buyer, if I was paying, you know, sort of £4 for some pen refills off eBay, it wouldn't necessarily be something I would think about leaving feedback for. But I seem to have always had, or certainly more often than not, had positive feedback from buyers on these. So that's kind of a little bonus as well. It's done good, done well for my feedback score having those in stock. 7th of July, Ford Fiesta Mark 6 Mazda 121 wheel bearing. Car parts do quite well, particularly new ones, or if you've got particularly good condition ones for classic cars and things like that. There is a learning curve to car parts, very much so. I'm quite lucky in that I've worked as a car salesman myself, and I've worked in the motor trade for around about 5 years before I started reselling. But also, my dad's been in the motor trade for all of my life and most of his, so I've from a car family. I've grown up around a lot of car parts, and I kind of have a feel for what, you know, what is desirable. So in the case of something like a wheel bearing, it's a wear and tear part. It is something that needs to be replaced periodically anyway. So you'll generally always sell things like wheel bearings, brake pads, all of those kind of things that do wear down, service items, oil filters, air filters, spark plugs, fuel filters, diesel filters, pollen filters, all of those glow plugs for diesel cars, all of those sort of things worth looking out for, because they're always in demand. And as long as you've got, in the case of things like spark plugs or glow plugs, as long as you've got enough to constitute a set, chances are you're going to sell them, not a problem at all. This was actually an item that was in the shed at home from a car that from my own car from a few years ago when I had a Fiesta. So it was just one that was, I think I bought one from a company and they sent two and only charged me for one, so I just kept hold of the other one for years, and you know, it was just languished in the shed really. It's still a brand new sealed Lucas bearing. Sold it to somebody who came and collected it as well, so there was no postage on that one. So sold for $19.99, made $17.43 on it after eBay fees because there was no shipping. 8th of July, you've seen this definitely in one of my, I say recent, but one of my more recent haul videos. This was the Oscar de la Renta dog collar and lead set. Pink leather designer dog collar lead. As I've said before, I've also worked in the pet industry for a couple of years, and I know the sort of money people spend on their dogs, their pampered pooches and things like that. So there's definitely, you know, high-end dog accessories are definitely worth looking out for. This one paid £4 for, sold for $23.94, made $11.51 after shipping and fees, and that went on global shipping to Spain. So yeah, do look out for high-end dog accessories. I know, for instance, Barber, as in Barber jackets, they do make a lot of dog accessories that are hugely expensive. So if you ever see anything like that, even if it is used, if it can be cleaned up nicely, and look in a, you know, a presentable condition that you'd want to use it yourself, then it's got to be worth a go if you're paying the right sort of money for it. 8th of July again. This was another one from the huge bundle of DVDs that I picked up God, how long ago was it now? Good few months ago anyway. You've seen a good number of DVDs. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've seen a good number of them go through from this bundle. So this is another one that just worked out free in the end, because there were so many DVDs that I paid so little for that it was getting difficult to apportion costs to them all. So this one is another one that worked out free, as with the George Michael Blu-ray before. So this sold for $9.94, made $5.93 after shipping and fees, and received positive feedback from the buyer on that one. It was just a kind of period drama BBC TV series from the sort of 70s. What does it say there? 79, so there you go. 8th of July, 4-inch basic spotlight with filters. This was as basic as a spotlight gets. I just literally put it on again because it came in part of that £65 bundle. It wasn't something that I'd have gone out of my way to look for, and isn't something that I'll necessarily ever go out of my way to look for, because I think it's one of those things where if you go into something like a car boot, for instance, sellers selling them at a car boot will have a higher perception of their value perhaps than they're actually worth. So because this was just part of a bundle again, and it ended up really only owing me 85p, I thought I'll just give it a go at £13.99. So it sold for £20.94 altogether with shipping, and after shipping and fees made £13 exactly on that one. And yet it is powered up on the pictures there as well, which is why you can see it's quite bright. So next, I was laughing at the way I said quite bright then. 9th of July, 500-piece nostalgia steam train jigsaw puzzle. I've said about jigsaw puzzles before. I got a lot of them in for Christmas last year, and they did do quite well up to Christmas last year, actually, so I'm going to try and stock up a few more for Christmas this year. They have been trickling out over the course of the year as well, so I keep them listed all the time because there's no harm in it. But they definitely do better over the Christmas period. This one cost £3, sold for £12.94, made £3.79 after shipping and fees. As I've said with jigsaw puzzles, you don't tend to make huge profits on them, but they come into their own over the Christmas period when you're selling maybe 2, 3 or 4 a day. They start to sort of snowball and make a little bit of money then. This one received positive feedback from the buyer as well. So we had quite a lot of good feedback this month. I tried a few different cassettes. I picked a few up in a charity shop simply because they were selling them for 30p each, and I thought, that mentality of I can't lose on them at 30p each, it's relatively low risk for me. So this one was the Sound of Music 30th anniversary cassette. I've also got a couple of others from that bundle as well. I think there's a Westlife one and a Glenn Miller collection or something like that. Anyway, so this cost 30p, sold for £13.49 quite quickly as well, actually. I was very surprised by how quickly this one went. I think it went within about a week or so of listing. So for something that I bought sort of on a whim and kind of blind, it made perhaps a bit more money than I would have expected. I wouldn't have really expected it to do more than a £5. But it actually did £13.49 and made £7.23 after shipping and fees. So it did a little bit more money than I expected, and it also sold quicker than I expected, so happy days. 10th of July, another jigsaw puzzle. 500-piece milk and cookies. This one cost £1.49, sold for £13.94 and made £6.27 after shipping and fees. Also had positive feedback from the buyer on that one as well. Another Black Band PlayStation 2 game, GTA San Andreas. Always look out for your GTA games. Certainly the earlier titles on the PlayStation 2 and things like that, they're not massive sellers. They're not huge value, but if you're picking them up for sort of 50p to £1 a game, you can do a £5 on them, not a problem at all. And they'll generally always sell quite quickly because it is a very iconic series and a very popular series. Again, a nice quality Black Band edition that was complete. It had the map, it had the little guidebook and everything in there as well. The only thing to say from my own experience with these Grand Theft Auto games is make sure they do have all of the inserts in the boxes. People never use them, but they like to have them to buy them. And if you're going to buy Grand Theft Auto, definitely this is the case for Grand Theft Auto 5 on the consoles. And it may be the case for Grand Theft Auto 4 as well, but I've never sold 4. Make sure it has both discs. On Grand Theft Auto 5, it has an install disc and a play disc. And quite often, I've actually picked up 2 early on, which didn't have the install disc in them. They just had the play disc, or the other way around. They both basically were missing a key component, so they're just, they're worthless essentially, but I didn't pay a lot for them, so I could just write those off quite happily. But yeah, this one cost 99p. Total selling price was $8.49 and made $3.61 after shipping and fees. Not a big profit item, but easy sale. 10th of July, again, this is another part of a bundle. Genuine Apple A3199 AC charger. These are these classic sort of 3-pin early Apple adapters. They do sell quite well. Any genuine branded charger or adapter will always sell eventually. Particularly, obviously, the brands that you would think of: Apple, Samsung, etc. I'm not going to sit here and rattle off a load of brands because I'm prattling quite a lot in this video as it is. So yeah, the sort of brands that are popular. Get chargers for them. They're going to be relatively cheap to pick up. This, as I say, came in a bundle, so it cost 75p. Total selling price was £8.94, and after shipping and fees made £2.83 on that one. But it's, again, an easy sale, nothing too sort of hard to deal with. 11th of July, vintage Brabantia plate warmer. This one cost £1. It was all boxed up and everything, as new really. It was in really good condition. It even had the original candles in it that had a little bit of use, but there was still plenty left in them. Sold this very quickly for £23.94 and made £16.26 after shipping and fees on this one. Interestingly though, this actually went to a TV production company, and it was care of the Royal Series 2. So is it the Royal? Is that what it's called? I'm going to have to look up what the TV show's called. I'll put a comment in just to make sure I've told you the right TV show. But yeah, essentially, it's really annoying me now what that TV show's called. I can't even Google it because I'm using my phone to film. I will put a thingy somewhere. Anyway, yeah, cost £1, sold for £23.94, made £16.26 after shipping and fees, and it's probably going to be on the fictional Queen's breakfast table. 15th of July 2019, PetSafe cat containment system, brand new. This is a wire, you bury a wire under your property, and the cat wears a collar which will vibrate if it goes over the wire. It's not like a shock collar or anything like that. They are illegal as far as I'm aware in the UK, electric shock type collars and such, but this one is like a vibrating collar. So it kind of still tells the cat, hey, you're not supposed to be over here. Again, picked this up from having worked in the pet trade and having a little bit of an idea about brands. PetSafe make things like cat flaps, automatic feeders and drinking bowls, this type of thing. They also make training collars and stuff like that, sonic collars and all these kind of different things. So I was aware of the brand, definitely, and I saw this in a charity shop locally. Cost me £10, but I was quite happy to pay that because I thought, yeah, this has definitely got profit in it. I didn't know how much at the time, but I knew of the brand, and I knew what sort of money their products ran to. So this one sold for £153.94, and I made £103.62 after shipping and fees on that one. That wasn't the cheapest one on eBay either. But what I made sure to do was get all of the technical information into the listing description and just really fill it out, just so that everybody could, you know, anybody that was buying it got a really good picture of what it was, how it worked. And I feel sometimes you've got to earn the right to kind of ask for a little bit more money. So by giving people more information, by going more into depth on an item in your description and your listing, you're sort of earning that right to ask a little bit more in a sense. So yeah, made £103.62 on that one after shipping and fees. 15th of July, Hello Kitty insulated lunch bag. This was another brand new retail arbitrage item. I actually picked this up from the Cheshire Oaks designer outlet, where you've seen I've sold a couple of items of Timberland clothing and stuff before on some of the other sales roundup videos. This was from the same shopping trip. These were actually being sold, I think, in Paper Chase, and they were on a final clearance in there. So these cost $4.75, sold for $18.94, and made $7.30 after shipping and fees on those. I've got another one in stock, maybe another couple in stock, thinking about it. Not 100% sure. But yeah, I thought they would sell a lot quicker than they did, being Hello Kitty and being quite nicely styled and being a good brand. But I have had those for a little while, in fairness, and not had massive swathes of interest in them. But they are starting to move, so that's good. Yeah, made $7.30 after shipping. Sticking with the 15th of July 2019, this is the Hornby Trains 1997 43rd edition UK catalogue. This came in the box with the Hornby Train shed that you've probably seen sold in another sales roundup video. I had an unbuilt model train shed that actually turned out to be reasonably, not rare, but certainly an uncommon item. And this was in the box for it. So it didn't really owe me anything, so I just kind of deducted it from the cost of the train shed and gave it its own cost price in that sense. So it cost me £1, this one. Sold for $7.94 and made $2.63 after shipping and fees. Not something that I necessarily expected to sell, although knowing Hornby trains have a enormous following the world over. They're probably the market leader in model trains. I could be wrong on that. I don't know huge amounts about them, but I would say they're definitely, you know, they're one of the most well-known names out there in model trains. I thought, yeah, maybe somebody might go for it eventually, thinking I might just end up sat on it forever. But it did sell, and you know, it took a couple of months, I think, to sell, but yeah, it sold in the end. So it's amazing what you can get rid of and what you can sort of sell in that sense, because it's just a parts catalogue at the end of the day. And I guess most of that is probably online now as well. So it's going to be a die-hard collector that wants to have a physical copy, I think, of the catalogue. So yeah, there we go. That was an interesting one. 16th of July, this was another one of Joe's items. This was one of her Hello Kitty bat plushes. It was by Ty that make the Beanie Babies, so it's very much Beanie Baby type construction. It's about a 6 to 8 inch size little plush. Didn't have any cost against it. Sold for $18.94 and made $12.05 after shipping and fees on that one. And that is it for part 1 of July 2019. I will get part 2 up. I'm going to record it pretty much straight away, to be honest with you, once I've had a drink, because I've talked so much there, my mouth is now like a carpet. So I'll be right back, essentially. I normally do a bit more of a sprawling goodbye, and it's turning into one because I'm talking about it and prattling on. But yeah, I'll see you shortly for part 2. So thank you very much, guys. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.